Duke, you suck.
You shut your mouth!
Hey everybody, welcome to the Duke You Suck podcast. I'm here with my good friend, fellow podcaster, and one of my, whether he realizes or not, one of my podcast mentors, Spencer Love, brother from the Love Podcast Network. Thank you so much for coming on.
I appreciate it, though. I have to say, like, every week, you and I talk pretty well every week at this point, and like, I've been very complimentary of your guest quality up until this episode. It's great to be here, man. I'm psyched to chat.
You and I, and like you say, you and I do talk so much, and a lot of it is just a lot of it people don't realize we're probably just bullshitting. You know what I mean? Just talking about everyday stuff, work, and things like that. But you're one to me, man. And this is, I'm going to blow a little sunshine up your ass because you're always so complimentary of me. You're one of the guys, like when I was kind of thinking about whether or not I wanted to start a podcast, because I'd been on your show a couple of times, and the TJ Logan show, the QPOV there. You guys kind of inspired me because it's one of those, like, you guys make it look so easy. Do you know what I mean? Like, and you in particular, your enthusiasm for what you're talking about is actually infectious. Like, it's one of the things my wife has watched you interview me, and she's like, that guy's just so likable. You know what I mean? I thought, this is a guy that, you made me want to try and do something because you make it look fun and easy. And it's not as easy as you make it look, you son of a bitch.
Well, number one, dude, that means a lot. It really, really does. Cause like, I think same sort of way as you is it's been very DIY on my end. Like, I don't have any official broadcast training, any official training on that end. Like, I took some communications courses as part of my marketing degree, but like, Thank you. It just means a lot. But like, to be honest, and same thing, I'm complimentary of you for a reason. I'm complimentary, luckily enough, of every guest that I've had. Is like, it's hard not to be enthusiastic talking to you guys, right? Like, as cliche as it sounds, but like, I just love pro wrestling, and what you guys do, like, I can't do. I'm very cognizant of what my abilities are and what my pain tolerance isn't, right? So like, it's hard not to be enthusiastic and pick your guys' brains on something that, like, I've got a very fan perspective on. I like to think that, like, my opinion ain't shitty, for any lack of a better way to put it, but like, it's definitely a fan's perspective. I've never bumped around or anything like that, right?
No, and I think that's one of the things. And cheers, brother. Well, you and I always like to have a
cheers
have a
to you
together.
Cocktail or sex, yeah.
So, but you're one of the guys, like, there are some, and to be honest, nobody's whose show I've been on, so I want to make sure that I'm not pissing on anybody here, but there's a lot of podcasters and people out there that have never set foot inside of a ring that feel like they know more about the business than the guys that have been inside of the ring. And not being in a wrestling ring doesn't exclude you from having an opinion. And I want to make that very clear. But the view from inside the ropes and the view from outside of the ropes is very different.
Oh, hell yeah.
And I think some guys don't respect that sort of end of it, where I've never got that from you or a TJ Logan or a Mike the Ref. You know what I mean? Like, you guys are always so respectful to the boys. Like, I kind of tell people, like, you and I have talked about maybe some guests you'd like to have on, people I might have access to. And the first thing I do is send him a message to say, this guy's an excellent guy. He loves the business. He's not rude. He won't disrespect you. He's not looking for dirt. If you have time, please talk to him. Right. Cause
I appreciate it, man.
Well, it's, again, you're just one of those good guys. And I appreciate not just you as a person, but also what you do for wrestling. Cause you give a lot of exposure to a lot of people that otherwise might not get it.
Dude, I appreciate it. But like, again, it all comes back to like sort of my first experience with pro wrestling is like, I didn't watch a ton as a kid. I didn't, I wasn't like your proverbial WWE fan or like your diehard fan or anything like that. Like, I watched here and there, but the first real experience I had with pro wrestling, like, dude, you were on the card. I've told you a million times, was like the PWA 10th anniversary show at the Century Casino. Right. And I came out myself, and like, when you've got guys like, you, again, if I'm on your show, I'm going to blow as much smoke up your ass as I can. But when like you've got you on, but like Ravenous Randy, exactly. Thank you. Ravenous Randy's on the card, and Jack Sloan and friggin' Chucky at the point, right? Like Spinelli and Taya Valkyrie and Tennille like all of these big names now that were like quite literally as, cliche as it sounds to say, Duke, like Albertan wrestling icons to me when I was growing up as an indie fan. So like, again, it's pretty easy to be respectful when, like, especially with folks like you, I've grown up with you guys as some of my first real wrestling heroes, you
Right.
know?
Oh, geez. Well, now you made me kind of feel old because no one's ever said like, "Oh, I grew up watching you." Actually, somebody did once say, "I used to watch you when I was a little kid." And I was like, "Hey, shut the hell up!" This is like a girl. This is a grown woman.
No.
Yeah, not flattering. Not flattering. I know you think that's flattering. Not flattering.
This isn't the compliment you think it is.
Exactly. That's like telling somebody you've lost a ton of weight. Wait, how fat was I?
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, great.
I thought it was
But-
25 pounds, but okay.
But yeah, man,
Yeah.
like it's just pretty cool to get the opportunity I do to get to chat with people like you,
Yeah, well, I mean, you have you have an eclectic mix of guests. You have something, but you know what? I'm really distracted. You're wearing that Owen Hart t-shirt, aren't you?
Yeah, I am wearing the Owen Hart t-shirt. I figured it was apropos to be wearing it for a show with you.
But no word of a lie. I had it in my hand in the closet and went with Arturo Thunder Gotti today.
you knew there was a 50-50 chance that like we'd end up matching, hey?
Yeah, we'd end up wearing the same t-shirt, and Lord knows that's just embarrassing.
Yeah, well, it is
Like two
it
ladies
is what
showing
it
up
is.
in the same blouse.
Yeah, well, if it looks good, it looks good, right?
Yeah.
I like to think I look handsome in this one, but
Well,
yeah, I
Hey,
like
buddy,
an
you can make
eclectic
a
group of
potato
pro
sack look
wrestlers.
good. You're a handsome
Aw,
man.
you're giving me diabetes. You're so sweet. Yeah, man. Like the best wrestling is like a buffet, right? Like I'm a fan of 99.9% of styles, I guess, of professional wrestling. But would I want to go out and watch one card of entirely comedy matches or entirely
Exactly.
death matches, or even with like the sports-based professional wrestling that I personally am a huge fan, like your Ring of Honor, your New Japan sort of stuff. Do I particularly enjoy, say, like a 5-hour card of strictly that style? No, like I
get
want
that.
the buffet. I want a little from
Yeah.
here and a little from here and a little. I think that's why for me, pro wrestling, like, yes, there are certainly some shitty moments on television and on the personal quote unquote end for a lot of things right now. But like
Right.
pro wrestling's better than it's ever been, if you ask me.
Well, I think the level of talent sure is. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah.
And I mean, one thing people don't understand is when you're producing as much content, or you're trying to produce as much content as these companies are, and when the machine gets as big as the WWE is, you're certainly not going to hit a home run every time you step up to the plate, because you're
No.
simply trying to hit too many home runs, right? Like,
Mhm.
so when you're, a lot of people want to get on, oh, the content's shitty, the content's this, the content's that. And it's just like, yeah, until you're trying to produce 8-10 hours of television a week, you have actually no idea what those guys are trying to do.
Oh, that's exactly it. And same sort of thing is like, it's one of the big things that I guess see as the focal point for Love Wrestling is like focusing on sort of the positive ends.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things I don't like in professional wrestling. There's certainly, again, in the professional end inside the ring and the professional end, like shit, we just had how many people released by a promotion making more money than it ever has.
Yeah.
But at the same time, number one, again, I ain't ever done it. I've never written TV. I've never performed anything along those lines of things. I can certainly say what I like or don't like, but you have so many of people like me, frankly, who are out there saying, oh, fuck this, F that, F this, F that. This is terrible. They
Booking
suck
shit.
at their job. I hate this. Like,
Yeah.
at heart, do I think there are, things that I would book differently? Probably, if I had the opportunity, but have I done it before? No, I don't.
Yeah. Well-
I don't get the need to like just endlessly complain, right? Especially again, when there is so much good, you can focus on that. You can, be cognizant of the negatives in professional wrestling as an industry, but not necessarily promote them. Right.
Well, and that's the thing. Like, people want to. I seen a thing the other day, and it was a really good little meme, and it said, the internet didn't make people stupider. It just gave stupid people a larger platform. And I think that when it comes to wrestling and the people that there's literally people.
That was probably a mutual friend. I think that came across my timeline too.
Is that right?
Oh,
yeah, little freezing action.
no,
Here
I
we
got
go.
you back.
Yeah, but
Sorry
I
about
mean,
that.
to me that's
Botch
one of
the
those.
spot, as they say.
Well, it's saying my internet connection is unstable, which is BS. The router's like 2 feet away from me. But I mean, people always like you
We're
say,
feuding with Shaw now.
yeah, exactly. Fucking Shaw. Don't get me started on those guys. I'll get angry old man at Cloud at Shaw. But yeah, it's, I mean, people always want to. It's somewhat human nature to look at things on the negative side, But to me, it's like,
Mhm.
why do you tune in every week then just to be pissed off? Like, honestly, go
That's
do
the
something
thing.
else. Go do
I really
something
don't
else.
get it. That's the biggest thing is like it's so easy to be negative. It really is
Yeah.
and shit. I'm about the most cynical person I think you can find. It's very easy to look at the dark humorous side of a lot of things, but like there's no need to be inherently negative.
Yeah.
There is a bit of a difference with it. Like I'm the first one to make a dumb joke on Twitter or something like that, or whatever it may be. But I certainly wouldn't think that anything is inherently negative in the way I ought. Well,
No,
there have been
and
moments, certainly,
yeah,
but
I think context is everything, right? Like if you just sort of read some of the comments we all make, like you say, when we're joking, a lot of
yeah,
people, if you just read that in a transcript, you'd be like, geez, this guy's really hard on wrestling or doesn't. But taken in context, or somebody that understands you as a person knows that there's a joke in there, right? And it's,
oh yeah,
you see these people literally on every week that just scream about the booking and they scream about the athletes and why aren't they using this guy better? And I was just like, man, if you know so much about wrestling, why aren't you in wrestling? I
either
never
try and
understood
do it
that.
exactly, try and do it yourself, and I will never begrudge an effort. There are professional wrestlers that I don't like whatsoever. There are professional wrestlers I wouldn't pay to watch, but like, do I have the right to say, well, you shouldn't do this? No,
Yeah.
I shouldn't. I've never done it. But like you say, I don't understand the need to just endlessly shit on stuff.
Yeah. Well, and the
And
other
again,
thing is,
I say that with a grain of salt. I've certainly been prone to doing it every once in a while.
well, hey man, we all have our moments and we all get to points where it's like, okay, enough is enough. I got to say something about this. Something has to
Yeah.
get off your chest. And sometimes the point is there, but it does come out, like you say, sometimes my point, and I'm one that's natural for this, my point gets lost in my delivery. Sometimes
It's like Lindsay Lohan and Mean Girls. It's word vomit.
yeah, exactly. Like instead of just saying, geez, I wish they could have booked that different, the word that fucking sucked comes out, right? Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know,
And that was perfectly put, my friend. Perfectly put. Always a better promo than I ever could be.
well, I mean, I think that, we got to be a little more articulate when we're going to complain about stuff. So we can, I think the main thing is take what you can, leave what you can't, right? Like,
Yeah.
when you were talking earlier, the circus never travels with just the tigers.
Yeah.
Right. There's the monkeys and the elephants and the sword swallowing guy and the lady that dances with fire and
The cool dudes who do the motorcycle thing in the big
exactly.
circle.
Yeah. The freaking cage of death. I think that was called when I was
That was always my favorite. Elephants and that. But then
especially
you
when
grow
you're
up and learn
crisscrossing
about
motorcycles inside.
and then you grow up and learn about animal cruelty, and it's like, well, I feel morally obliged to not like the animals at the circus anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Like, geez, yeah. Something I used to love is now something like it's just like, geez, if I say I like that now, I'll probably get canceled.
Like going to SeaWorld.
Yeah. You know what? I don't want to. This is what a good human being my wife is, and this is how not involved in bullshit my wife gets. We were having dinner the other night, and I was having a conversation with a friend, and I said something about woke culture. She had no idea what that was.
Awesome. That's
Yeah.
honestly like every time you've brought your wife up, and we've never met, obviously, but like
Right.
every time I just think, shit, she's badass.
Yeah, like she does not get like she's. And don't get me wrong, that doesn't mean she doesn't have an opinion. I don't want to come across the wrong way, but it's like, yeah, she does not give a shit about
What a
any of that
beautiful
stuff,
world to have
right?
never
Like
come across
she's
that.
like, well, one of her favorite things, and I kind of tease her about it being cheesy, but we live fairly close to the Bull River here in Calgary, so we often go for walks there. And she just, she'll just, oh, it's a beautiful day to be alive. And then it's like, man, this is what I come home to, and then I go on the internet. It's just like, wow. Which is one of the reasons I started this podcast is you'll notice most of my posts now, I don't really debate with anybody on Twitter or Facebook anymore.
No.
Right? Because I can sit here and just talk with you. I can get this conversation off my chest, and we don't have to talk about anything controversial or negative. It's just an opportunity for me to sit with somebody interesting that I respect and have a conversation that, isn't going to blow up in my face later.
Isn't going to blow up, isn't going to get, like you say, lost in context. Anybody can read a 280 character tweet and lose every part of the meaning of that tweet. Like you say, I've always preferred to have a phone call or shoot the shit with people face to face. I not like I'm old by any means, but that's one of the things that I'm very lucky. I didn't have a phone until I was in high school, which compared to a lot of my friends, and that was very behind the times. But it also like a lot of my friends from high school and that, while certainly people I liked, were not very good conversationalists or anything like that, because it's this all the time. And I'm saying that as a dude who, like, 99% of the time has to have access on a computer or something like that. But like, shit, I still took a hike 2 weeks ago, and you ignore everything online, and you can in any way, shape, or form, just spending time with the people you love.
Yeah. Well,
I know that's very like cliche, airy fairy to say, but like it's achievable for anyone, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like you can leave everything alone.
But and that's it, right? Like we all just, the thing is, like when you're on the internet and your only tool is a hammer. And what I mean by that is that you can only be a negative person. Everything looks like a nail. So you're going to just piss on everything. And that's not my thought. That's an old school kind of analogy that I even reheard the other day. And I think that people are literally looking for reasons to be pissed off. They're looking for reasons to be offended because they live, and this is really kind of rude to say maybe on a certain level, but because they simply live unsatisfactory lives.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if I can cut you down, I feel taller.
That's exactly
it.
Get the
fuck out of here with that. I hate it.
Well, and like, life itself is a bigger discussion, but like you look at pro wrestling, man, and like we're living in a time where CM Punk could come back to wrestling and Daniel Bryan could show up anywhere at any point. And there's all this insane free agency going on with potentially Adam Cole and Pete Dunne. Like, what? And the thing we're going to focus on is,
I like to see
this
Adam
segment
Cole.
Sucked.
I would like to see Adam Cole on the main roster. Like I don't care where he lands, but I'm in the Adam Cole business. Like I'm somewhat of an Adam Cole dick rider. You know what I mean?
One of the coolest things. One of the coolest things. Like I got to go to SummerSlam like 2 years ago. So it was still in the midst of their sort of how do you put it best? Like where they did the 4-show weekends where they would do like takeover, event, Raw, SmackDown the next night.
Just
watching Adam Cole enter, man, was nuts. Like everybody is in the Adam Cole business, dude.
Oh yeah,
everybody is. Any of those gentlemen I just mentioned, but like he's the sort of dude I'd pay to watch wrestle the 2x4.
Yeah,
like
he's somebody that I can say that kid needs a higher profile. Like he needs a big
man, I agree, and wherever that may be, like that's the thing too. Pro wrestling right now is so accessible. Like as long as I'm willing to stay up until 2 a.m. to watch it live, I can watch New Japan, no problem. Or Ring of Honor, you can go back and watch anything on the Honor Club. Like WWE is obviously everywhere. AEW you can catch on major television 2 nights a week. I mean, coming
AEW
up
has so much good content on YouTube as well. Right?
Oh yeah, man. Like I still love tuning into Being the Elite. Like if you think that the Dark Order are some of the funniest guys out there, I truly, while I respect your opinion, I disagree to the death with what you were saying.
And you can also go to hell.
Yeah, and that's the little subtext to it.
But yeah, no, and I mean the thing is, like, you may not agree with the booking, but when you look at the level of talent that's out there, there are so many good guys. Like, I'm going to put over a guy that I need to get on this show sooner than later here. Is MRB, Michael Richard Blaze.
Yeah, dude.
Right at the very end of my career, I worked, a couple shows with him, and kind of the summer before I was going to pack it in, and then my last couple shows. And I realized real quick that kid, first and foremost, had reached a level of creativity in his wrestling, the stuff that he could come up with for a match that I had never even thought possible. Like it made me feel like I was talking physics with Elon Musk. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it was just like, oh shit, yeah, he's speaking a language I almost don't understand.
Yeah.
And then to watch athletically what he can do in a ring. You know what I mean? Like it's just kind of like
nuts.
Well,
it's nuts.
It is, because like there was a time people look and say, man, you're really good at this. And then you look at those guys and think, man, I was kind of the shits. Like, you know what I mean?
But man, like it's number one, like at least with the two of you guys, again, it comes back to the buffet of things.
Right.
Two different things. But when it comes to Alberta specifically, like, again, when you talk about supporting your local independence, how can you not when you've got the people here that you do right now? Yeah. Like, you talk about wrestling being at an all-time high, or I bring it up at the start of the show even, and like, yeah, you can talk about the proverbial major leagues like that, but you can also talk about it on a local level. Like today, when we're recording this podcast, there's a show happening in St. Albert at 2:00 from the CWE. RCW is running the Royal Canadian Legion at 7 p.m. tonight. Heavy Metals Wrestling, Josh Alexander. Like, you look at some of the talent on cards like that across all of the promotions that we've got that run here. It's nuts. And at least in my experience, 99% of them are great human beings. I don't obviously have the insight that you would to what things were like earlier. But I'm very lucky in the sense that, like, yeah, you're always gonna run into people you don't get along with, but
Yeah, man.
everybody out here has I guess the right goals in mind, right?
Well,
like, let's push ourselves forward. Let's push Albertan Pro Wrestling forward.
Yeah,
Again,
I think
it's being
it's
sort
not
of
as competitive as it used to be. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like it's, I think the rising tide floats all ships is kind of the more mentality now where, you hear consistently, and I guess, I mean, I think we could use Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels as a really good example of guys that would compete for the top spot. Do you know
I
what I
thought
mean?
you were going to say in that one's clearly better.
Well, I'm not. But
I had to throw
Yeah.
something in. That's
thing is,
purely
like, if they saw something, like if Bret saw something Shawn could do better.
I'm a Bret Hart guy.
Yeah, and I don't want to name drop, but I have met Shawn Michaels, and I'm just going to say I'm a Bret Hart guy.
And we'll leave that at that.
Yeah, exactly. But I think those guys, like if Shawn saw something Bret could do better, Bret Shaw, and let's just even take the heat out of their relationship. Let's just say they're two guys competing for that top spot in the locker room. If they saw something the other guy could do better or differently that would make a spot better or make a finish better or just simply make a match better, they're not going to tell each other. Where you go into a PWA or an RCW locker room, and if someone's watching your match and sees something you could do better or fix things, whether or not you take it well could be a different conversation. But everybody's trying to help each other out. Everybody's still trying to help each other get better. And that is a reasonably new thing.
Yeah. Well, and again, that's just something that, like, you would have far more insight into than I do. But, like, again, like, you bring up MRB, and there's no arguing that, like, he's a huge conduit for it. Metal. Like, again, you look at the training schools that are even coming across in Alberta right now, like the Alberta Wrestling Academy. Divine's doing his.
I was going to say, let's talk about Divine's
style,
new school, the Canadian Strong Style. And you know what? I heard that. One of the things about me is I'm in the deepest south of Calgary. Like, I'm next stop Okotoks. And so my brother, I seen a quick conversation with my brother and Divine on Facebook, and it turns out his school is very close to my house. So I'm not trying to sell anybody on Divine's school. Pick what school you want to go to, but there's a very good chance you'll see me and my brother hanging out at some point at Divine's school.
It's just so cool
whether
that there are that many
he welcomes
options.
us or not, we're going.
You're picking it out front with a case of beer, right?
That's right.
It's just so cool because even for myself, like when I got into covering, quote unquote, because it was very in the nicest way, but like it was unsolicited coverage when I started.
Right.
Like the only schools running in 2017, at least to my knowledge, were Monster Pro, which continues pandemic notwithstanding to train, and then Lance Storm, who is only doing his online stuff just because everything that happened with WWE and whatnot, right?
Yeah, and I'm still wondering if they'll pick him back up or will he open another school, because he was somebody that I mean, he trained some fucking serious talent.
Oh my God. You go through his, you know, it's like a Pokemon deck of great professional wrestlers to come out of there. Right.
Yeah.
But
I was really kind of disappointed when he closed his school and then, you know, went to the WWE and then things worked out the way he did. And he ends up getting laid off. It's like, fuck, like, you know, he had such a good thing going, but maybe he was ready to try something new, and, you know, in fairness to him as well. But
oh man, like I am obviously not, I'm preaching to the choir on this, but that guy is a legend in this industry. He should be able to do whatever the hell he dang wants whenever he dang pleases, including wherever he so chooses to bring back the Saskatchewan International Hardcore Championship.
And he's one of those people, you know, quite frankly, he's somebody that you don't hear a lot of negativity about. You know, you don't hear a lot of people talking shit about Lance. And that, you know, that's important. Like that carries a lot of weight, because this isn't a business where everybody, like you say, not everybody gets along. Because here's the thing, and I hope I'm not offending some people, and I don't give a shit if I'm offending some people on a certain level, but you got to be a little bit different to want to be a pro wrestler. You have to, your mental makeup. Oh
man,
you have to be willing. Like I was talking to the guys at work the other day about how I like a sprained finger. Like I have no problem when people are like, oh, my finger's sprained. I'm like, are you wiggling it? Like, do you like that? Because I don't mind that. It doesn't bother me. And they're like, you're a weirdo. And I'm like, oh, okay. But when you factor in the fact that you're willing to let somebody blast you over the head with a steel chair to get something over with the crowd, you gotta be a little bit fucked up to be willing to do that.
It's masochistic at the best of times.
Yeah. Like and you watch these death matches, and those guys are like, love them or hate them, don't yuck someone else's yum. If you don't want to watch the death match, don't. But there's a, like we were talking about the circus, there's a portion of people that want to see that death match.
Oh, I'm a
Let's see it.
fan. I
Yeah,
love
like,
me
I
a
don't-
death
you know,
match. I really love me
I'm
a death
fan
match.
of a death match at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
My concern with the way, like, I'm going to use ECW as a really good example. ECW was they had so much talent.
Yeah.
And then when you break the rules in every single match, and you feel free to at me, let's have a conversation about it. When you break the rules in every single match, what it does is takes away the good gimmick matches from when you're trying to blow off a feud.
For sure. It's
know,
the
and
same
that's-
complaint as like Hell in a Cell now for me.
Yeah,
It's like, when you've got it as a scheduled event,
It doesn't mean as much.
come on.
You know, so
Exactly.
people say like, "Oh, Jordy, you're just old school," and I am, and on a certain level. I'm open to new ideas, right? I'm open to changing my mind in the presence of new information. But for me, there's certain things like, is hardcore wrestling cool? It is. You can do some really neat shit if you just literally can suspend all the sort of rules.
Yeah.
But at the same time, when you and I are having a feud, and it's like, okay, well, let's have a strategy match. Oh, there was just one 6 weeks ago between such and such. Okay, well, let's have a cage match. Oh, there was one like 2 weeks ago between blah, blah, blah. Okay, well, let's have, an exploding barbed wire match. Oh, like 6 months ago, Mankind and so just did one of those. So you literally have
what else
nothing
can we
left to
explode,
do.
you guys?
Yeah, like, okay, I guess we're setting a dumpster on fire and diving in there. And that
Yeah.
to me is, when you keep pushing the envelope, eventually the envelope's going to break. And
Oh, yeah.
fortunately, we haven't really seen that yet. But at the same time, it's kind of like, that is my only issue with that kind of wrestling. It's got nothing to do
I don't
with how I
disagree.
feel about the psychology or, whatever. That's a personal taste thing. To me, if that's how you want your art, by all means, digest it that way. I'm not going to tell you not to.
Hell yeah, there's a million different brushes you can paint with, right? But like you said, it's timing wise, story wise, all of that stuff has to be there, but it has to be there for any, every great straight up one-on-one contest has to have a great story behind it. It has to have the timing behind it. I know it's a bit different because you can have more of one than the other timeline wise, but yeah, I just enjoy them. I really have no other way to put it. And recently they've been real well done. The death matches I've experienced are neat.
Yeah, and that's again. So there's a friend of mine who I actually became friends with because he was a fan of shows. Somebody that has digested in his lifetime a lot of wrestling. This guy probably forgot more about wrestling than I'll ever know, and the history of it, anyways. Excuse me. And he watched, I think he watched the Jericho Gage death match, and just pissed on it. And I mean, like, garbage this, garbage that, just had nothing good to say about it. And there's part of me that says, okay, it's not your style of wrestling, and I 100% appreciate that. But don't diminish the fact that those guys still went out there, worked their asses off, and risked their lives to entertain. Well, what did that match draw? 1.3 million viewers, I think.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so,
I think so.
I don't like Celine Dion. I won't buy a Celine Dion record. But I'll never tell you Celine Dion sucks, because Celine Dion sold like 100 million records.
Exactly,
So
man.
it's not my jam.
Exactly.
But I'm not going to tell you she sucks. And do I want to see, to your point, a whole card of death matches? No, but they have
Not
a place.
whatsoever.
They do have a
exactly.
place.
Exactly, man. It's like anything else in professional wrestling. There's a time and place, everything in moderation. Well,
Yeah.
most things in moderation.
Including moderation.
Exactly. Perfectly put. Again, as I said before, you're a much better promo than I'd ever be.
Well, I mean, Sunday afternoon brunch beers, it doesn't get much better than that.
No, exactly. And they tie right into Sunday evening beers, which is
Sunday
great.
evening beers. Well, actually, I got a big date night tonight with my missus. We're going to there's a new Van Gogh exhibit. I don't know if you've seen the ads
Neat.
for
I
this.
think they had one. They had something similar. I'm assuming it's same people putting it on. They had that up in Edmonton, or maybe still have it.
Same
up in
thing where
Edmonton.
I think, from the pictures I've seen, they project Van Gogh's paintings into a whole room. So you're actually immersed in the painting.
Cool.
Well, it's one of
Very
those
cool.
things like, I don't want to rip off Joe Rogan or anything, but it's one of those like, geez, I wish I was still a young guy and take hallucinogens, because this thing could be neat, But those days are long gone for Duke Durango.
Yeah, I feel like anything would be neat in that situation, though. It could be like, let's go to a library.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah. Aren't books cool?
Look, having fun isn't hard, said Arthur. It's just
Yeah.
never why it isn't hard.
Yeah. Well, actually, when I was in college, I read a paper on this group of monks in Mexico that would take mushrooms and read the Bible. And they said it gave them much deeper insights. And my answer was, well, no shit.
I was gonna say, yeah, that seems very obvious.
Yeah. How many mushrooms were you taking is the question.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
There's a time. Where's that college course at?
Well, you know what, man? And this is not to rip off Rogan, but my oldest brother actually phoned me because he knows when I was a young guy, I wasn't afraid to take the odd mushroom here and there.
Mhm.
And because at the university he teaches at, my oldest brother's a professor, and at the university he teaches at, they've actually brought in as part of their psych courses psilocybin therapy sessions where they come
Really?
in, they give you a counseling session, then they dose you up on like multiple grams of mushrooms, and they sit with you, and when you're in a completely different state of mind, you start hashing through whatever your issues are.
That's
finish
fascinating.
You finish your trip, there's a debriefing. And my brother's buddy did it twice and says it changed his life.
Oh man, like
You know what I mean? So it's
I'd be so
agree or
nervous to
disagree,
try
I don't know,
something
but
like that.
even if it's a
Oh, man.
placebo effect, it helped that guy. You know?
That's exactly, you know what? Like, far be it from me to suggest anything that helps or not suggest anything that helps someone else out.
Yeah.
You know, like,
Yeah.
good on them. Certainly don't think it'd be something I'd be anxious to try. Ain't my thing. I don't want to get too into this.
Yeah. Well, that's, like a lot of guys my age, you go through some shit when you're trying to figure out, your sort of wrestling career winds down. You're at a point at a job that, okay, is this what I'm going to do for the next 25 years sort of shit? Like, where am I at?
Yeah.
And so you go to, and I went and talked to this lady to bounce some shit off her, I went to a shrink for a minute, and she says, don't worry, we'll get in your head, we'll figure it out. And I started laughing, and I ripped off a line from this movie Stone Cold, and I just looked at her, I was like, you don't want to get in there, man. You might not like what you find. Like,
leave that one right alone.
Yeah.
Maybe stay on the
yeah.
fringe outside of that one. Yeah.
Yeah. I went a couple times and realized, okay, I could probably tell this lady what she wants to hear, and she'll just give me a pass. So I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm just going to stop going to that. You just got to work your own shit out sometimes. Sometimes it's good to have someone to talk to, but sometimes you just got to, grab a 6-pack of beer, grab your golf clubs, and dig your swing out of the dirt like everybody else.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. What, like, different strokes for different folks, they say, right? And
Yeah.
if something helps somebody, cool. Like, I've gone to a therapist a couple of times. It's been so helpful for me.
Yeah.
And then I've gone to a couple of therapists where it's been, like, if I could ask for my money back, I would,
Yeah.
It's tough out there. It really is. There's really no other way to put it.
Well, and
Find what works for you.
Well, I think the hardest thing now is, there was a time when, mental health wasn't a thing. You know what I mean? And then with budget cuts to medical and things like that, they used to take people in and treat them on a certain level, but then they didn't want to support, the governments didn't want to support these mental health institutions in the 80s when they were starting to run out of money during national energy crisis and things like that.
Okay.
So they just shut down the mental institutions and turned all the people loose. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're not a danger to society. Have a nice day.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you're not functioning.
You're not a danger to society yet, potentially.
Exactly. Or yourself, or, not well adjusted, not knowing how to function in society the way it is because you don't have the wiring that works that way. Right.
Yeah.
Like, I think that mental health is one of those things that, the just get over it mentality has done so much damage to.
Oh man. And again, I'd be batting out of my weight class with it, but like, I'd have to assume even more so with professional wrestling. Like, not that it ain't still there, but like, reading some of the stories and hearing some of the stories as well, like, it very much seemed like it was a ship up or shape out, right? Or shape up or ship out. There we go. Now I phrased it properly.
Fit in, shape up, ship out, fit in, fuck off. Like, it's kind of
one we can use for the PG version of this podcast.
Yeah.
One we can use for the
there's no such thing on the Duke You Suck podcast. It's rated Yuckmouth, I believe, by YouTube.
That's the official Apple podcast.
Yeah, it has its own
Stitcher,
rating.
wherever.
Yeah, parental rating Yuckmouth. Yeah.
What is this? Say everybody download. That's why
Actually,
you get downloads.
do you know how much times have changed? First of all, video stores don't exist, but my wife and I, Big Friday night we'd go rent videos at Rogers Video. You gave able to rent 3 videos for $10. And on the back of the video, they would have like, a brief description of the movie. And then they would have a lot lines of what was going on in the movie that could be offensive to you. And this is like, I got married in 1998. So this is like 99, 2000. And so it would be like, objectionable words or phrases 200. 2 scenes showing breasts, full male frontal nudity. It would have these total descriptions. So you'd almost rent the movie just based on the bad shit that was in that rating,
You're looking for the one that's got like the description like that rather than like
multiple
that,
deaths, lots of sex.
I do feel like I still remember Blockbuster and Rogers Video and all of that sort of stuff. I almost feel like so I'm the oldest of all of my brothers. I turned 30 in 6 months, something like that. But I even feel like there's like a bit of a generation gap between myself and then them who are 3, 4, and 5 years younger, or 4, 5, and 6 years younger, depending on which month you're in.
Sure.
It's insane because even on their end, like not really a lot of remembrance on that end of things.
Yeah.
Like I still remember when we started going to computer class consistently in school, whereas that was like always a thing. It's wild. It's wild the differences you find.
I was 10 when I seen my first computer.
Yeah.
I was in grade 5. I can remember when the Apple IIe came into our classroom.
My mom, who is number one, a saint, by the way, and that is how I will start every conversation about my mother.
God bless you, Mama Love.
She keeps baby books, as I'm sure most mothers do for each of us. And one of the first things, like in the front pages of it, I think I was 4 years old, and they quite literally did up like a newspaper article about our preschool, because myself and I think 2 or 3 other students from that preschool were like randomly selected to be part of this like Start Computers Young course, for lack of a better, but like it is a full on like in the front of the baby book article, which again just sort of shows like how far the world comes in a relative, like that would have been 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago. 25. Shit. I'm terrible. One thing I ain't good at, they didn't start me with numbers young, obviously. But yeah, like it's just nuts because now you see how many freaking like YouTube videos and TikToks and Zeep Zops and shit like that of like literal infants playing with iPads. Like,
well, right? These kids are more technologically aware, by the time they're 13, 14, 15 than probably I'll still ever be.
Oh, me too, dude. Yeah. Me too. This stuff, like with Love Wrestling, I'm so lucky. I've got some of the people all of the people, but some of the people who help out with like Twitch and our graphics and TikTok and all of that sort of stuff. Cause like at the very least, I'm familiar enough with Facebook and Twitter. Right. I got no idea what I'm doing on that end of things, or even like setting up my audio. By no means is it perfect. It's far from it, frankly. But like even then, having people come in and help me out, like, dude, I would be sitting here doing interviews when I was even running the WCSN. Like, I would literally be trying to record phone interviews by like having my phone up here when I was first starting off, because I had no fucking clue. Not that I've got much of a clue now, but no fucking clue what I was doing.
You have a clue, man. You've helped me out a lot.
Well, good. I'm glad that I was at least able to provide some facsimile, however you pronounce that word. I'm bad with that. Of help, because let me tell you, the emphasis on the wrong syllable, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
It's tough. Like I can't do half of that stuff yet, and I would still think that I'm pretty technologically sound.
Well, I was out for dinner the other night with this. I was telling you about being out for dinner with this guy, and he's watched a few episodes of the podcast. He was very, very complimentary. He's really blowing a lot of sunshine at my ass. And he goes like, "So how much did it cost you to get into that?" I was like, $70 for a mic and $30 for a webcam. He's like, "Seriously?" I was like, "Yeah, man, you can start your own podcast too for $100."
Dude, that's exactly it. Is I feel like it's like anything. So many people say, "Oh, I want to do this. I want to do this," and again, it's the professional wrestling comparison somewhat. Is like, if you want to be a pro wrestler, then you can't just like order random shit off of High Spots and run off of that to be Mr. or Mrs. or non-binary independent professional wrestler of the year. Like you've got to put money into your gear. You've got to put time and effort into training. You've got to do all of that sort of stuff.
Well, you got to invest, right? You pay for university. Why wouldn't you pay for wrestling?
Well, exactly. And there are all these people who, well, I want to pay for, or I want to be a podcaster. I want to interview pro wrestlers. Well, have you invested in a microphone? No, it's so expensive. Well, it's really not if you want to make that investment into yourself.
Yeah.
right? $100, you're not willing to put that into yourself. Well, do you really want to do it then?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. If you're not willing to invest $100 in yourself, and the truth is, some people don't have $100 to invest, and I appreciate that. So I don't want to.
Oh hell yeah,
come
that's
across
a
as
very
elitist
different
or any-
story.
You know,
No,
I'm-
that's a very fair point. That
You know, well,
that
here's
is
the thing.
notwithstanding.
Here's the thing, brother. I am from, I didn't understand my white privilege until I had a good conversation with my buddy Wavell Star and Sequin Hennecue.
That was a good show, by the way.
Thank you very much. I'm from a family that was, we were a food bank welfare family. Child services came to our house more than once. So I didn't get to where I'm working by waiting for somebody to give it to me.
Yeah.
You got to go out and work and earn $100. Like, I seen this other meme, and it's probably been on your feed too, where this old guy says, you want to know how did he say it? Like, you want to know how to turn $40 into 400, put $40 in your gas tank and go to work.
Yeah.
Like,
if only.
Yeah. And I mean, it's easy to say that too. I'm fortunate that I've always, worked hard and got decent jobs, so again, but some people don't have the $100, but if you have the $100 and are just talking shit, well then, if you don't like it, change it. Otherwise, shut the fuck up.
That's a very important asterisk to add to that conversation is there are definitely financial barriers. I don't want to make light of that, but if you have the opportunity, you have the financial means, and you won't put that into yourself. I truly don't understand. It's like, well, Spencer, how do you get interviews with all of these great professional wrestlers? It's like, well, I email them. I get a hold of them. I write a professional email saying, here's what I am. Here's what I do. Here are my qualifications. Here are people I've I quite literally, dude, yesterday.
Send them a resume, basically.
I sent out yesterday, I sent out a couple of texts and emails to people that I've been fortunate enough to interview with to say, hey, if it ever comes down to it, can I use you as basically a professional wrestling reference? Because again, I'm very cognizant of my position and things. Don't get me wrong. Like I said, I was very unsolicited coming and doing recaps and doing interviews. It's not like I'm a professional broadcaster coming out to event A, B, and C, and I'd like to talk.
I don't think you realize how much we appreciate that. Do you know what I mean?
I certainly don't want to discount that. No, I appreciate all of that too.
Because no one else is talking about us, right? We can only self-promote so much on, some guys are much better at social media than others. But without guys like yourself, and again, the guys at Backbreaker Media, the Quarantine POV podcast, the rest of the amazing, you've got a massive crew at the Love Wrestling Network. It's fantastic. Without those people reaching out, it's still much harder to get your name out there, because even if only 150 people watch my show, it might be 4 people that didn't know your name before that day.
Exactly, dude.
0, right? Like everything's just a little step forward.
More what it is like anything I've done is it's not like I'm approaching it as, hey, I'm Spencer Love. I work for Global Edmonton. I'm coming out to interview MRB and Zoe Sager and Gigi Ray tonight. Thanks for the time.
Right.
I approached it. I thought, what can I do to help myself promote the Albertan pro wrestling scene? So came out and started doing recaps. Like when I interviewed MRB, was the first interview I ever did. I got a hold of him from sending an unsolicited, hi, I'm Spencer Love.
An extremely approachable guy. If people realize,
I will never be luckier that I approached people like him first, because you won't find a more welcoming individual.
No,
right?
He's a hell of a guy, man.
Exactly. So I got very lucky on that end. And he was the guy who, again, not like I was begging the guy to do it for years, when I felt that I had the resume behind me to say, hey, can you help me try and coordinate an interview with TJ? Right. He helped me out there a ton, right? Same sort of thing as yourself. It's not like I was, hey, Duke, my name's Spencer. Can you help set me up with X, Y, and Z? Same sort of way I've kind of looked, and I ain't ever taken the bump outside of, oddly enough, that brain buster MRB through me. Right. But I like to sort of think that, I don't want to use the phrase pay your dues, because that's as cliche as it gets, but you have to earn those opportunities, right? Rather than just, hey, well, I'm doing this. You have to earn them by being professional. You have to earn them by doing a quality interview, doing your research on the subject you've got. Do you know how friggin' frustrating I'm sure people get any level of professional wrestling of, so what'd your first bump feel like? Fucking sucked. It sucked. It objectively sucked for every person that did it. oh, it was tough. They all say with a smile on their face, doing right by the people interviewing them, just stewing in their heads, I'm sure. Right. Like, I don't,
Well,
I
that's
don't
why I
get why
say, like, when
people
you say,
won't
what
do
do you
that.
want to talk about? When I approached you about coming on today and you said, what do you want to talk about? Nothing and everything. Right. Like,
Exactly,
let's
man.
just bullshit because we all, you and I mean, I think if you've watched any amount of wrestling, we've all grown up watching the same format at exactly to your point. Like, what made you decide to get into the business? Where'd you train? What was your first match like? What was your hardest match to date? What's your dream match that you haven't wrestled yet? Can you see
Yeah. Have you
yourself being
been
a
to
world
this
champion?
country before?
Yeah,
Do
like
you want to work
it's
for
always the same old,
WWE or
same old, same old, same
AEW?
old shit.
Yeah, and it's always going to come up. Like, again, there have been a few Albertan professional wrestlers. I've done their first interviews ever. So that stuff's
Right.
going to come out. But like when you're talking to someone like TJ Wilson, when I've had the privilege of chatting with them twice,
Yeah.
why the hell would I waste his time? What was your first bump like?
Yeah.
It sucked. And so did getting stretched.
Yeah. In the parking lot at Stu's house.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's footage of Harry getting stretched outside in the parking lot at Stu's.
That was one of the coolest things when I went to the Hart House, by the way, just to sidetrack for a sec,
Yeah.
was like literally walking around on the lawn and being like, I've seen a video of a dude I know getting stretched right there, Morgan.
Yeah.
Right there.
Well, and that's always the thing for me. Like the ring that we wrestled in at Stampede, the ring that was outside when I broke in, was the ring that stayed set up in the pavilion from what we were told.
Yeah.
So all of a sudden we're wrestling that ring and I'm literally looking at this ring like for, 40 years, this ring sat in the pavilion. How many greats set foot in this ring? Like actually when I broke in, they were still using, do you remember when Stampede Wrestling was using, say during like the Owen Hart era, it was a powder blue canvas with the red Stampede Wrestling in the middle. That was the canvas we wrestled on when I broke in.
Holy shit. That's cool.
Like there was, there's still 20-year-old blood stains on that shit. Like it was, you could feel the power.
That's so cool. That shit always just blows my mind. So again, like, when you've got the opportunity to speak to people who have been there and done that, it just, for me, more so than even the question itself, it just proves like you haven't cared enough about the person you're interviewing to do the research on them.
Yeah.
They've answered this question. They have answered this question a million times.
Well, in today's day
they took
and
the
age,
time for you.
Well, and the thing is, today's day and age, there's a podcast circuit. Do you know what I mean?
Shit.
Like you've had Divine on recently. I'll be reaching out to Divine here over the next couple of weeks to talk about his school and things like that. So once you do the first couple, after that, you're into redundant questions and you got to start looking for different shit.
Exactly. I mean? And it's time consuming, certainly, but like when research is as easy as listening to something other than, Pantera or like the bands I love listening to on the way to work, like Pantera or Zeppelin or stuff like that. If the answer is you listen to 2 or 3 podcast interviews of this individual to do your research, come on.
Yeah. And
like,
and again, watch some of their matches. You might even want to check out some of their matches.
That actually, I found it tends to help if you know your subject and how.
For sure.
What was your last death match like? I've never wrestled a death match.
Yeah, yeah, that was
one of my favorite. One of my favorite things I've started to do over the last little bit too is like when you look up. So with Johnny Divine specifically, it's fun when you get into like, because I go as far as I can on Google and you start to find people with other names. You would be surprised, like. Divine it happened to. I honestly think it was like Maria Kanellis as well, where like you start to get in and you find like Johnny Divine, bricklayer, and Maria Kanellis, like retail attendant, whatever the LinkedIn description might be. It's almost like, oh, hilarious.
Yeah, there's still people with these. There's real people with these names.
Yeah, and then there's the people who just, again, I don't claim to be any sort of like wizard at this shit, for any better way to put it, but like. I also think, as someone who had no experience in professional wrestling before, who had no relationships with people in pro wrestling, anything like that, like literally my 2 brothers are fans. Those are the only wrestling fans.
So then how old were you? Because you're just about 30. How old were you when you came to your first show?
18. It was at the Century Casino when you guys were still running there. And I wanted to have a few beverages, but quite literally, dude, like, because I didn't know any other wrestling fans, I came to the show by myself.
Right.
And for the first little consistent bit that I was coming out to the PWA, I came by myself. The only times I started coming out to PWA shows with other people were the first show I came to with other people was quite literally the last show that Jinder Mahal did in between the sabbatical he did with WWE.
Right.
It was the first show I
Yeah.
ever came to with other people.
Okay.
And it's
Was
so
was
cool now
Animal
too.
at that show?
I don't believe so.
Was that like was that?
It was around the same time, but I think he was the show after because that was like right around one of the anniversary.
Oh, so that was
shows.
the anniversary show. And
yeah, 'cause
Animal
Jinder
came
was at the
to
Rumble.
whatever the summer show is, Night of Champions.
Yeah.
Okay.
But either way, like it's even still so cool because,
Yeah.
like I tell you, I was out on that hike a couple of weeks ago, so you get to shooting the shit about professional wrestling. One of my
Yeah.
favorite stories to tell is that my brothers and I came out to a show one night. New guy, there was a new individual on the card named Tony Cage. We quite literally chanted "new guy" all show. And
Yeah.
Tony Cage, as we all know him now, is Rohan Raja, NXT
Yeah.
UK star, right? Like, again, you want to talk about try and support your local independent professional wrestling. Like, it sounds cliche when you hear it, but like I'm living proof. You know, I got to see him wrestle his first match in Edmonton. Got to see
Yeah.
Rachel Ellering's first match that she ever wrestled.
Yeah.
Right. Like, and these are people who are making measurable impacts on pro wrestling today. And I'll be able to say one of these days, I got to see Michael Richard Blaze wrestling as Chucky, or
Yeah.
when Heavy Metal goes somewhere, or Mitch Clark, or individuals like that. That you
I can
just
say I
know
think I've
it's-
seen Michael Richard Blaze jump off his first pop machine. You know what I mean?
I've almost seen him kill himself with a Canadian destroyer and a Spanish fly to the outside.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
you know, it's but again, it's nuts. Like, you get to see this stuff live in the flesh right in front of you. Like, why more people don't go out to local indie shows
Well,
is baffling.
and the
Why
thing
they
is-
don't have thousands of people at each and every one, because you'll never find better entertainment even outside of professional wrestling fans. You know,
Well, and the thing is, you'll never find, there's some duds in every industry. So I don't want to, make it sound like everyone's a diamond. But at the same time, you'll never find like, okay, so I join a rock band and I learn how to play my guitar and I become really good at my craft. And I don't want to minimize how much time it would take. And that guy's committed to what he's doing, but he's still not getting the shit kicked out of him to entertain somebody.
Yep.
Right. Like, that's a different thing. Like, you're literally willing to go out there and let somebody body slam you on the cement to entertain fans, and people, and we get something out of it too, right? There's that rush of being in front of the fans and things like that. But at the same time, it's like, how committed are pro wrestlers to entertaining their fans compared
even
to
when you
other
go to
artists?
like a shitty wrestling show, man.
Yeah.
Like, how can you not go out there? The most bored people I find, oddly enough, at like wrestling shows are usually wrestling fans, because you
Yeah.
find the matches they dislike and they're talking and leaving it alone. Whereas for me, my favorite thing about a shitty wrestling show is, well, let's just get right into it and let's scream and let's get some fan interaction going. Like,
Yeah.
imagine going to an NHL game and like I said this yesterday to a friend, actually. I can't truly hate any NHL team anymore because I'm a big fantasy hockey player. So
Right.
usually even like you pick and choose. I
Yeah.
used to hate the Calgary Flames, but okay, now I've got Kachuk on my team, so I can't truly hate them. But like, as a diehard Oilers fan, the best comparison I could make is like, well, what if I'm at an Oilers game and I'm, hey, screw you, Matt Kachuk, or I hate you, Jacob Markstrom, whatever it might be. And they were to, like, in the course of the game, skate over and, hey, screw you too. And you get in the argument with people you hate and you get fired up. That is pro wrestling. It is the most wild form of entertainment out there, man.
For
I
sure.
truly don't understand how, because it ain't for a lack of talent.
No,
That's the biggest thing now. Is
one of-
there's so
because
much
of what-
talent out there.
Well, it's to me, and again, I'm biased, right? But to me, it's the most underrated art form.
Oh, hell yeah.
People don't look for the art in it, but and the other thing about independent wrestling in particular is I've had a lot of people ask me, have you ever met this famous wrestler? Have you ever met that famous wrestler? And some of them I had, and some of them I hadn't. But the thing is, if you want to look back and say, I met this famous wrestler, I met that famous wrestler, go to independent wrestling, because that's where they're coming from.
Well, yeah.
Right? Like, you're gonna be like, and this is really and truly. So I was backstage at a WWE show, and I don't know if I was even training yet. It was just, just started hanging out with the Hart family. We were coaching amateur wrestling to the kids, and the Stone Cold Steve Austin character had just become a thing.
Yeah.
And he was standing in the Saddle Dome literally by himself, not a soul around him, drinking a Diet Coke, leaning against a wall. So I looked at my brother and my buddy Pistol Puck, and I was like, hey man, we better go meet this guy, because he's going to be the biggest thing ever.
Yeah.
And I remember him saying, why? And I said, because he just told his boss to fuck off. Everybody that everybody that watches wrestling wants to do that. It's the perfect demographic. And obviously I'm not a genius. Everybody's seen Stone Cold coming once he became Stone Cold. But at the same time, it was like so many people met Steve Austin on the independents and didn't realize what Steve Austin was going to be, and are today going, I met that guy before he was anybody. So for those stories alone, go to indie wrestling. Go, it's so cheesy, but go see Tomorrow Stars today.
Well, yeah, man. Like some of the interviews I've had the opportunity to do is from people that, were on the independent level and have turned into big stars, right? Like Pillman Jr., I think, is a pretty bad example because MLW is a great platform for a lot of individuals, but I interviewed him 2 years ago. This is before anything happens with AEW or anything along those lines. It's insane. It's insane to be able to get the opportunity to speak to people like that and then get to watch them grow, and I'm sure again,
PWA show or two, because I know I met him somewhere.
Worked for Hurt Legacy too.
I'm sorry.
I was gonna say who's gonna make the first comment on that one. That's moving on.
I'm just gonna transition. So you know what, let's talk about a current event, something I want your opinion on, actually. Obviously CM Punk's been on hiatus. Geez, we're coming up closer to 8 years than 7 now, I think.
Hell yeah, man.
Early 2017, I think. There's a lot of rumors and conjecture going on right now. With Darby Allin mentioned his name recently, I believe, in a promo. So what are your thoughts there? You think we're going to see the return of CM Punk?
I don't know, man. Like the thing is, I'm once bitten, twice shy, because like I went to All In when they first did it in 2018.
Okay.
And I was effing certain, like, Punk did the meet and greet at Pro Wrestling Tees. He did all of that stuff. It was like his first wrestling appearance in 8 years, whatever it was, 6 years.
Yeah.
Like, I was certain then. So I'm so hesitant to say, 100%, he's definitely coming. But like, man, I just want to believe it's so bad. I really do. Especially on the fact that, like you say, it's not like it's, Roman Reigns. It's not like it's one of your like traditional big dudes that's coming after him. It's a guy that, like, honestly, when you talk about Darby Allin, I like him as a wrestler. I never would have thought that that'd be like the CM Punk return match. And then you hear like CM Punk, all he's ever said, I'd return to wrestling. I need a story. I need something convincing. Well, if something convinced him on this end of things, cool. Because it's a damn good opportunity for a story.
And that's exactly
I would love it. I would really love it.
Well, if you listen to why he left WWE, he was sick of the same old. You know what I mean? Like, it's I'm being very simplistic in that comment. There was obviously a lot more than, but again, to get a guy like that back, first of all, people always think it's a money thing at a certain point. Like, if I ever came back and wrestled a match, it's not because I need that money. And CM Punk, I think, has done pretty well for himself. I don't know if he's independently wealthy or not, but first of all, everybody does have a price. But I think when you get to a point, where money's not the thing, so what else do you have? Right. Exactly. And I think that's where CM Punk's at. It's like, okay, who's interesting? What do you have? Who's got a good storyline and who's got a good platform?
Yeah, man, I truly don't know. I really don't know unless he comes out. And this goes for any pro wrestler. Like, unless they come out and completely, like, I know this is a crude example of it, but unless it's like a Jeff Hardy Victory Road, oh my goodness, this person is unable to perform, what a disaster.
Right.
That is like the literal only situation I could see people poo-pooing on a CM Punk return. Yeah. Other than that, like, how can people not be potentially excited about it no matter what he does getting into the ring the first few weeks? Yeah. There's going to be people who flock back to professional wrestling.
Can you imagine his first few promos?
Dude, it's insane. It's really just baffling to think about the fact that, like, again, he could potentially be back. Okay, if he doesn't, well, then Daniel Bryan is potentially an ace in the hole for All Elite Professional Wrestling. Like, there's so many. I don't know. I literally, man, my mind goes everywhere with it because I really can't think of a more exciting time to be a wrestling fan. Yeah. Like, the only couple of instances I can even think of where I had like this much enthusiasm about stuff, timing oddly enough, like the Wyatt family debuting, like the Hardys returning, and Becky Lynch winning
Right.
the main event at Mania. Like
Yeah.
those are the only times I remember feeling this much like sheer exuberance, hardly can get words out about things. And that's
Yeah.
as a guy who, like, again, I wasn't watching a ton of wrestling when CM Punk was actively wrestling.
Right. Yeah.
The guy's obviously incredibly talented. The
Well, I'd
impact
be
that he's
lying if I
made on
told you I
pro
was
wrestling is huge.
I was never a huge fan. Honestly, I was
Yeah.
never a huge fan until the pipe bomb promo.
Oh, yeah.
When he called Tyson Kidd a workhorse, because to me it was like, okay, at least, you know, love him or hate him, that kid recognizes a guy like TJ for who he is, and it gave me a different respect for him. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
For whatever reason, probably because I'm such a big TJ mark. But at the
Hey,
same time,
samesies.
it was,
That makes two of us.
well, the thing is, but it also meant to me that he's a worker's worker. That he's one of those guys. Like, I don't care if a guy like Tyson Kidd is, you know, 199 pounds. This kid should be the top of every roster because I don't care what roster he's on. He's probably the most talented guy on that roster, literally on any
Yeah.
fucking roster.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Like even Divine was saying it the other day. He says that TJ, Harry, and Teddy Hart are the three most talented individuals he's ever seen inside a ring, bar none. Bar none.
Forget it.
And that's coming with a dude that, like, again, much like yourself, I just hold that guy's opinion in real high regard as far as professional wrestling goes.
Well,
right. But like it's just nuts to think about. You know, there are many, even, you know, the best example I can think of is Bobby Lashley. Up until quite literally last year, I was never a Bobby Lashley guy.
Right.
But when there starts to be the rumors circulating, oh, he's coming back to WWE, here's all the stuff he can do, here are all the potential opponents, all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah,
I was excited for him to come back.
for sure.
You look
And
at a
I
guy
think
like
they
CM
were-
Punk, who, like,
and
I'm
not
just
with the-
objectively again, I'm a Punk mark now.
Yeah.
I'm a retroactive Punk mark is the best way to put it.
You know what? I'm one of those
Um,
guys. I don't get into shit till everyone else is done with it, and then I go back and look at it.
I just downloaded. You want to talk about that? I just downloaded that Old Town Road to my iPod like 3 years after it was cool. It was the intro music. I shit you not, Duke. It was the intro or like segue music. I listen to a lot of like NHL radio in the car.
Okay, yeah.
And it was like the segue song between a segment on NHL radio. And I was like, oh yeah,
Well, yeah,
I
that's
like
something.
this. And I was going through, I'm like, oh, I don't have this anywhere. Like I'm going to embarrass my kids so much. I mean, like, I don't know this music at all, but like, do you want to sit down and watch old episodes of Uh-Oh? They're going to be like, you are the least cool dude I have ever met. You stopped aging in like 1999 and just sort of mentally went from there. Yeah, pretty well.
Yeah.
I like Uh-Oh. I like Kiss. I like professional wrestling. Cool. That's it. Other than that, it's
a little
fine.
while ago, I was chirping my wife about some show that I thought was beneath her, and you know, yucking somebody else's yum, if you will.
Yeah.
And she looks at me and she goes, "You can't say shit. You watch wrestling."
Oh yeah. No, it's
Yeah, okay,
100%.
that's fair.
I can't ever, because again, you know, it's half joking. You know, we talk about the ridiculous of professional wrestling.
Yeah.
There certainly is an aspect of ridiculousness or lack of seriousness in some ways about pro wrestling, right? But like, you know, it's so weird. It's one of those only industries that it's very hard, at least for me, to like, you can't have a black and white opinion on it. You know, with a
No.
movie, you can sit and say, I liked this movie, I didn't like this movie, I liked this part, didn't like this part. Pro wrestling, it's hard to like, if somebody says, I don't like pro wrestling, it's like, well, what don't you like about it? You know, you can always find the nuances to things. I've gone to so many pro wrestling shows with people and oh, I hated this match because they did this, this, and this. And, you know, it was too slow, but I love these lucha guys and it was great. And then you look at your other friend and, oh, well, I liked it in the exact reverse order. I like this really old school match. What the hell are these dudes doing the flippity doos off the top of the rope for? It's like, well,
100%.
see, you can find something in every pro wrestling. That's again where you come back to the buffet analogy with it, is like, can find something everywhere. If you don't like action movies, it's pretty hard to convince you to like an action movie. I guess that's sort of where you start to narrow it down.
Well, I mean,
But-
the thing for me is like you say, what don't you like about it? And the one thing I hear the most is, and again, you know, people aren't trying to be insulting, but the one thing they'll say, like, well, okay, what don't you like about it? Well, it's fake.
Yeah.
Okay, well, when's the last time a fucking Terminator visited your house? Like,
That's exactly it.
you know,
Like when I hope you guys have your like security installed for the next purge then, right?
Yeah,
Because like
exactly,
if
like-
realism is what we need, and again, I do say this, I'm like I know it's so douchey and cliche to say, but like I like the old school shit. I like your sports based wrestling, but at the same time, you know, there are certainly differences in people's grappling abilities, but at the end of the day, for the most part, this isn't a legitimate shoot UFC. I'm out to
Yeah.
murder my opponent.
yeah, I don't have to be a black
fight.
belt in jiu-jitsu to do this.
Yeah, regardless of what style you're working,
Yeah.
right? Like
Well, and to me, the
Everything.
best workers, and this is where a guy like a Tyson Kidd or a Teddy Hart or you know Harry, who you know at 265 can still do front flips, you know, kind of just take a couple running steps and hit a front flip. To me, the best workers can wrestle all of those styles. I mean, yeah, you're not going to be, you know, a Rey Mysterio luchador, but you can still be proficient wrestling with the luchador. You're not going to be a Stone Cold brawler, but you're still proficient wrestling that brawler match, and it can still chain wrestle all day and do, like you say, the sports based wrestling match. And those to me, like, you know, to go to your point with Brett, one of the things that made Brett to me the best, and again, this stuff all gets subjective, but one of the things that made Brett the best is that not only was he willing, he could make any bum look good. And I think that to me is the hallmark, and not to call any of his opponents bums. That's the wrong choice, but you know, he could literally make anybody look like $1 million. And that to me is why he's the best worker ever.
How many pro wrestlers, and like you say, okay, there are, you know, your lesser professional wrestlers for sure, but how many great pro wrestlers had the best matches of their career with Brett?
Yeah.
Like Roddy,
100%.
Davey, Owen had it twice. Shawn Michaels had the best matches of his career with Bret Hart. Like,
For sure.
the list goes on and on and on.
Yeah.
And like,
Well, and the other match Sean would get heralded as being his best would be the ladder match with Razor Ramon, which was apparently, if you depending on which account you're listening to, was a Bret Hart match idea. So
that's exact. And the end, I'm always prone to count Bret because, well, you know,
because
the Calgary bias. I think that's exactly, the Calgary bias is 100% real. Let's not try.
Sure.
Let's not make excuses on that end of things. But like, it's just wild to me. I don't get this, again, like you say, the preconceived notion around, well, it's fake, well, it's all of this sort of stuff. Even for me, you know, I've told people, I'm lucky enough to know people with rings. If you would like to come out and find how fake this is, I can guarantee to you that if I was to send out a few messages, if I was to message you one day, Duke, and say, hey man, I've got a friend who thinks pro wrestling's fake and wants to get stretched, you'd be up here in the 2 hours that it usually takes 3-hour drive to Edmonton,
salivating
right? Like,
the whole way.
You'd be on your way. Exactly.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the one of the biggest things for me too, is as a guy who, like, again, objectively has not done it, be very cognizant that people are doing things that I and most people out there just have not and will not do.
Well, and to bring it full circle, brother, that's the respect that you give us, and why I appreciate you so much.
I appreciate you, dude. Thank you. It genuinely, you know, it means a lot, you know, coming from a guy like you. Thank you.
Last cheers. Let's wrap this up, brother.
Well, cheers to you too, friend.
Have a great Sunday, man.
Same to you. I already have.
Spencer Love, where can the people find you on the social media?
People want to find me personally, I'm pretty easy. I'm only really active on Twitter at Spenny Love. But it's not just myself at Love Wrestling, as I slur my words like Sean Connery. It's not just myself at Love Wrestling. There are a lot of great individuals supporting, quite literally, the most positive, the most enthusiastic things in the industry. So if you want to give us a follow wherever video is watched, audio is listened to, or our articles are written, find us at lovewrestling.ca or on social media at lovewrestlingca.
Give these guys a follow, friends. They are well worth it. They are great people, and they do great work. Spencer, thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate your time.
Dude, thank you. Always happy to be on. Already excited for round number 3 with Duke Durango on my show.
Will be happening very soon.
And the beers are on me, I guarantee.
We should go from a pub. Well, we could do this all day. Talk to you soon, man.
See you, buddy.
Duke, you suck.
You shut your mouth.